I don't think that the Caucasians, let's say, should revert to being white. I think that's a bad idea. It's a dangerous idea. And it's coming fast. And I don't like to see that. I think the whole group identity thing is seriously pathological.
So Dr. Jordan Peterson says that white people must not unite under the banner of their shared blood in the face of mass immigration. Instead, they should adopt an ideology of radical individualism.
And that whole ideology is working desperately to upend the idea of the sovereignty of the individual. And to me, that's an absolute catastrophe, because the replacement for that is brutal tribalism. That's the only replacement we know. And then that's celebrated, say, on the radical right. Say, well, okay, well, if we're going to devolve into tribalism, then we'll triumphantly herald our past accomplishments and unite under the flag of our race and blood. But we know what happens when that happens. It's not pretty.
Right.
So I don't see any alternative than the radical individualism that's predicated on these deep stories that characterizes the West. It's the right answer.
Herr Professor Marcuse.
The cultural Marxists, their entire premise for breaking down all societal norms and traditions in the immediate aftermath of World War II stemmed from this idea that they were preventing white people from committing another Holocaust. If you read The Authoritarian Personality, a book from 1950, co-authored by Adorno, Frankel-Brunswick, Levinson and Sanford, you will see the words that justify the destruction of things like patriarchy, nationalism, hierarchy, in order to stop a hypothetical Holocaust. So when Dr. Peterson is employing the same argumentation as the Marxists, really makes you think. So what is Dr. Peterson's solution to mass immigration? Well, it's that whites must stop seeing themselves as a unique people with a culture and a heritage that's worth protecting, and instead see themselves as radical individuals that have no pathological obsession with their ethnic heritage and culture, and then you need to clean your room and contribute to this new multicultural utopia. And he'd have a bit more credibility saying this if he said the same thing to other racial groups. But it seems only whites are forced not to care about their heritage, about who they are, and instead must be contained within their own little box of radical individualism. A lot of people who espouse right-wing positions wholeheartedly sign up for the Peterson perspective. But in no way is he a traditionalist, no way is he a conservative.
Because the social constructionist view of gender isn't another opinion, it's just wrong.
Saying that there are two genders does not make you a conservative. Stating a biological fact does not suddenly make you the saviour of Western civilization. Dr. Peterson calls himself a left-leaning classical liberal, and he wants white people to sacrifice themselves on the altar of radical individualism because it would be reprehensible to defend yourself and your own civilization from annihilation. Right now it seems as though Dr. Peterson understands exactly what's going on. He's intelligent, he's articulate, his academic background and position in society allow him a real literacy into the menace of the left. So the question that must be asked, why is he deliberately offering a false solution? Radical individualism will only help to fragment the identity of people who tend to want an individualist society, i.e. white people. A group can stand for and against something, make a real difference, a seismic change to the status quo. It's a lot harder to do that if you refuse all identity except your own individuality. So let's explore the prospect of Dr. Peterson being controlled opposition. He certainly operates in that manner, spouting some based milquetoast opinions like there are only two genders, which manages to draw in an impressionable crowd of young white men into this pseudo-cult that gradually steers them away further and further from any sort of nationalist thinking. So mixed into dad pills like clean your room, the wage gap is exaggerated, I'm not going to use your fabricated pronouns, mixed into that you have this cancer of radical individualism, hammering away that you are only part of the human race, Stop obsessing about your culture and your people and just obsess about yourself. You are an atom. That's all you are. That's what you are. That's what he wants you to be. An atom. Not part of a greater distinctive group with a biological and cultural past, but instead a floating atom. Radically being an individual. I suppose I really refuse to believe that Dr. Peterson is not being disingenuous when he champions radical individualism. Given that his academic speciality is in fact psychology, and therefore he must be able to accept the validity of IQ and knows that personality and IQ are at least partly genetic, I find it very difficult to believe that he isn't aware that people have innate in-group preferences. Surely he has to realise that his audience are almost exclusively young white men. So this idea of colour doesn't matter. Ideas matter. It's a nonsense. The values of a society are a product of their culture. Culture evolves in much the same way that physical traits do, from different environments and selective pressures. There is a reason the idea of a non-white population holding the same values as Europeans is hypothetical, because there's zero precedent in history for it. Because non-Europeans are from a different culture and a different biological background than Europeans, and that creates different value systems.
Because I want the best in you to emerge. And so you need standards. It's like, what are you doing wasting your life? There's way more than that to you. Get your act together and bring it out. And that's a message that people really want to hear if they have any sense at all, and generally they do want to hear it. So
let's present the familiar counter-argument to everything that I've just said. Dr. Peterson, he's not wrong. Affiliating yourself with people just based on your race alone is foolish. You should only be accountable to yourself and yourself alone, but also surround yourself with people of the same ideology. That will inherently mean few people of colour, but it also means a big FU to all of the low IQ whites out there who currently think that they're the master race because someone else with the same skin colour did something worthy. Goodness me. Submitted for your approval. Radical individualism. The cancer in the fight for Western civilization.